This week on Not Just a Hat Rack, we're going to talk about the people missing from our televisions on WWE, like Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, Ilya Dragunov. And obviously over the weekend, Sheamus has left WWE or is about to leave WWE. And, that's not fucking good with TKO restructuring. We're going to talk about SummerSlam, what it looks like, what it should look like, what's coming out of it. Damien Priest goes to AAA, even though he's a SmackDown Tag Champ. And Danhausen is cloning, or what the hell is he doing? Who knows? This is July 7th, 2026, and this is episode 6. Hold on to your hats. I was a little surprised because just like New Day and R-Truth before, where he was released and brought back, they've done so many of the people that have been in WWE so long wrong that who's next? Who's safe? Nobody. Like not that Sheamus is but I was just talking about how people like Sheamus and The Miz and people that have had such a long tenure are just for some reason thrown to the side. Like it's like, oh, thanks for the 15, 20 years. Like just, you can move on now. Like they have no problem just cutting people loose. But I don't think it's the same in this situation. In this situation, it was more of they wanted to restructure his contract, and obviously Sheamus, like the smart businessman and independent contractor that he is not going to accept less money for still not being used as much. Like for what he was doing, like I saw he was doing stuff with Rusev. I think I looked up his last match was that 6-man tag with John Cena. And you know what? Hey, if that's his last match in WWE, I hope he's happy with that. The fact that he never got the Intercontinental title really sucks. And now, obviously, he doesn't have that opportunity. So I just think there's so much more they can do with Sheamus. But I totally understand and would do the exact same thing. If you like with all the 50% pay cuts everyone's been talking about, like how, like these people were offered 50% and stayed with the company. It's like, well, but there's no reason. TKO makes enough money. There's enough money to go around, and they're just all the TV deals, and they're charging everyone up the ass. Why can't you pay the talent what they're worth? That's what I don't understand. And I don't know if I really had a list. I said I was going to take a look at a couple things, but first it was the New Day, right? No, we don't want to take a pay cut. This is stupid. We'll just leave then. And they're like, oh crap, guess that happened. And now Sheamus. So, but then there's people like B-Fab and Meechin. No offense to them, but I mean they're probably cheaper. But they're on our TV every week, And you got these call-ups coming up like Ethan Page and Trick and that. And it's like, okay, so you give these guys maybe a little bit less to start out, but then it's like it's kind of like any business. Like I've worked in different areas and stuff, and usually after you're there for a long time, if you've worked your way up to make a certain amount of money, they can't really. I mean, normally, like depending where you work and stuff, like they really can't really cut you back to less than what you've made. So like if you've worked your way up and got raises, and it's like, hey, your value is this much. But I mean, it's totally different in wrestling. So, but if they plan on using them less, like Shinsuke Nakamura, the guy gets paid, regardless, and whether he shows up or not. And the guys that are in backstage and catering and don't do Los Garza shows up to get squashed by Oba, and then they go down to AAA and actually look like they're a good tag team. So, like Grayson Waller's getting paid to do nothing. He's another one who should be on a milk carton. Since we mentioned that, that's going to be our main topic, talking about how all these people are missing from our TVs. I mean, personally, I like Grayson Waller. I know he's not shown the main roster fans and much, but I mean, the guy is so talented, and they had him in a good position, doing his show and doing all this stuff like that. And so, like, there's people like Johnny Gargano just lays on a thing, and Sami smacks water bottles, and now this guy smacking water bottles and hanging out with comatose Johnny Gargano is the champion. Something just feels a little off, Like I did hear Candice LeRae is enjoying her backstage role. I think she's doing stuff backstage, and I saw a picture and I didn't click on it and stuff. I just assumed there's a picture of Johnny and Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens talking. Like Kevin Owens is doing the LFG stuff, and I haven't looked into that either. But I mean that'd be really interesting to watch. So the fact that Johnny's working close with Kevin, maybe that's why Sami and Johnny kind of have their backstage thing. Whatever it is, it has to pay off. But it'll be like WWE with all the other things. Like some of the examples, like I can't remember. I've watched videos and stuff because there was there was a long time where I didn't watch the show, and probably for the best. But there was things that they didn't pay off. Like there was something with Shane McMahon and the mystery this and mystery that, and it's like it was just like, ooh, they dropped it because yeah, we decided this storyline sucked. So it's like, what's gonna happen at the end of the Johnny Gargano thing? It's like, oh, your contract's up, you can leave now. It's like they're gonna just one day it'll be like, yep, Johnny Gargano's free, 90 days, no compete. It's like, so you had him laying on a box every week. Like now that Sammy's there, you could have like, and I think we talked about it, Joker as well, is Sammy and Johnny could be a tag team, or Kevin comes back, like there's something to do there. But it's like, now that Sammy's won the title, wow, I went way off topic. I like going off topic because there's no topic bigger than whatever's on your mind. So the fact that Sammy's now won the title, would it be weird for him to lose the title and then just immediately go and tag with Johnny Gargano? Like, I think Sammy, now that he's won the title, should be in that title scene again, or be at least a contender. Like, he should be, when the Rumble comes around, if Sammy's not champion, he should be the guy that people are looking at to win, because he won the title in Saudi Arabia. Maybe he can do it again at WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. So, but yeah, no, besides Sheamus, I mean, people that have worth. Like, I mean, I did write down, and I think I have it on here, so maybe I'll open that up and I can take a look. I don't have exacts, but I was trying to keep track of when people may have signed, whose contracts could be up, and as far as longevity, we've got like the R-Truth, obviously, he's signed till 2029. Randy Orton signed till 2029. Rey Mysterio 2026. So that's, but he probably signed something new because it is 2026 now, and he's doing a AAA thing. The Miz, don't know his status, but I mean, I think the Miz is the kind of guy who would take the pay cut and be like, dude, I'm just having the time of my life, doing what I dream. Like, you want to pay me less to be here? I've got other income things. I've set myself up, my family, like. It's not going to be a big insult. He understands. And the Miz has always been that kind of guy, where you ask him to do something, he's going to do it. He has no problem. He's not exactly a yes man. I guess he kind of is, but I think John Cena kind of said that too. It's like, you've got to take every opportunity. They want you to do this, make it the best that they can. Like Chelsea Green is the best example of that. You give Chelsea Green a shit sandwich, and she turns it into the best thing of the night. She showed up with Tiffany Stratton backstage, and everyone cheered, and then everyone laughed at every word she said, and she wasn't even being like really funny. She was just kind of being Chelsea Green. So to see her getting that babyface kind of push, and Tiffany accepting her, I'm really happy for Chelsea for that. But at the same time, it feels weird when they brought in Matt Cardona, because now they got the couple, and all the couple things that'll start. I think that'll eventually kick them in the ass, because like I said, even anywhere I've ever worked, they've always said they don't want like inter-office dating, even though it wasn't an office, like kitchen and stuff. But still, it's like, you don't want people dating or marrying or something, because then it's like, let's say you have a falling out with one of them, well, the other one will probably leave too, or maybe they won't, but now it'll be awkward because you just fired their loved one, and now they have to stay behind and still work because they need to, so it's like, if you lose one, you're going to lose the other. And that's kind of, and same with like Trick and Lash just got married. And so it's like, you've got these two now up and coming, and something could happen. And now, oh, well, we got to release one of you. Look what happened to Killer Kross and Scarlett. The way they wanted to re-sign was so awkward, in his words. Maybe not awkward was his word, but it was just like, when they re-signed initially, they signed them together. And when his contract was up last year and they were going to resign, and he had his match against Sami at SummerSlam, and he was putting him over and all those things, it was, okay, we're going to talk with you first, then we'll do her contract. And he didn't want to do that, because it's like, well, that makes no sense. So if I agree to sign, and then you decide not to sign her, now I'm stuck here and she doesn't have a job here. It's like, no, we're a package deal. Like, she's like, if she's going to be coming out with me to the ring all the time, why wouldn't you sign us as you don't have to sign us as a duo, but just sign us together. Have her contract, my contract at the same time. Don't say sign me and then hope to sign her, or whatever their reasoning would be. So, but yeah, other people I think in jeopardy now that it's happened to Sheamus. I mean, there's people we know have, like I said, have longer deals, like Finn Balor, Kevin Owens. These guys have got a couple years left. Chad Gable, I think, is good till 2027. Plus, he's got stuff going on. Yeah, Shinsuke. Shinsuke signed a 3-year deal late in 2025. So we got Shinsuke for at least another 2 years. But guys like Tozawa, Otis, these guys probably have no problem taking a pay cut because they're barely used anyway. So it makes sense. Like, hey, you're getting $500,000 a week to show up, 4 times a year. How about you get 250,000 times a week or $250,000 a year, and you still show up 4 times a year? It's like, you know what? You're probably right. You're probably overpaying a lot of people. But that's the underutilized people, the people that don't, they don't really have a spot. Sheamus can still be that guy that's in that fold, And I even looked too, like before that 6-man tag, he had wrestled and beat in November. He fought Trick Williams, beat him twice in dark matches, and Javon Evans beat him in a dark match. And so that was right before they called those guys up. So it's kind of like they brought him, and Sheamus was kind of like that guy to like, hey, we're gonna, kind of rough these guys up a little and get them in main roster ready now that they're out of NXT before we show them up on TV. And so he can beat that guy. They can use that. Now they've lost that, so that sucks. Sheamus, I was really hoping he would come full circle and get his Intercontinental title win, or give me another Gunther. You could have had Gunther Sheamus and had Gunther retire Sheamus, and then Stephen Fairley shows up on another show. Not as Sheamus, because Sheamus is retired, Kind of like they made that joke that AJ Styles is retired, but what's his real name? Alan Jones, or whatever. It's like, he's not retired. What do you think about the whole Sheamus situation, Joker, and the whole TKO restructuring? And is it fair? And does it make sense for some people, but for others, like, there should be untouchable people. And I think Sheamus and New Day should have been guys that you will keep regardless because of what they've done.
It really does come down to, as you said, in wrestling, unless you get a guaranteed contract, and in that contract it says you cannot be paid less than this much. But then again, in the world of wrestling and the way it's monopolized, the company itself could breach that contract. But here's the thing, that leads to lawsuits. That's kind of why WCW, when they had their guaranteed contracts, just in a lot of ways let people ride them out. And when WWE bought them, they just paid those people until those contracts ended. And I will say it does put more light on the subject of, I kind of knew it when New Day left with Xavier and Kofi, because I thought they would be people that would be in WWE for a while. Them leaving really set the bar of, this can happen to anyone at any time, at any moment. It doesn't matter how good you are, how loyal you are to the company. You are just a cog in the machine and a means to an end, and that's really wrong. But as you were saying, a lot of people are willing to take those pay cuts, but a lot of people aren't. And if they aren't willing to, take that pay cut, and WWE is just willing to let them walk, because that's fine too, because they can get jobs really elsewhere. But at the end of the day, still, with the 90-day non-compete clause, it kind of does eat into their it doesn't eat into their pocket, but I think it more eats into someone's psyche, because you have to sit at home 90 days and do nothing. Like, yeah, you're still
Well,
getting
you can leave the
paid.
house. You can go grocery shopping and shit. You're
True.
not you're not you're not on lockdown for 90 days. You just can't do anything wrestling related or media related, I think. Like, but I think there
Yeah.
was actually, sorry to sidetrack for a second there as usual, but Jinder Mahal had shown how just the contracts work. How it's like you have a guaranteed this amount of money, and then this amount of money, so you get paid. Let's say it's $100,000 a year, and or whatever. So it's like, let's say it's $1,000 a week. That's your guaranteed money, no matter what you're doing. You show up, you're in the back. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be there 8 hours twice a week, like, because they show up for whatever, like 11 or noon, whatever call time is. Like, it's funny sometimes when you hear them talk about it, because it's like, oh, I got my call time. Yeah, we got to be there. Like, I got media at 9, and then I got another interview at 10, and then we got to be at the arena for 11, and then, they'll have the ring set up, and we'll just talk over things for a couple hours, and then we go to makeup, and it's like, it's a production, it's a show. And so, like, it's so crazy, because it's like, when you just watch the show, it's like, It's kind of like what, I mean, they've compared it before, but it's like watching the circus. You know, those people are performers. They get out there and they give it their all and they put their lives on the line and they do these things. And it's like, but in the end of the day, before all that, there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of practice. There's a lot of, you know,
Training,
what's that?
training. They do a
And
lot of
training as
training to
well.
make
Yeah.
sure,
Especially
yeah,
the
they
wrestlers, the
don't get
people with
injured.
athletics. Like, they're training all the time. And so, like, they always talk about, like, oh, yeah, we went here. Like, or Royce Keys when he had his debut and they had to keep him in a box and he's like, he couldn't go to the gym. So I think it was, he said Triple H had some weights and stuff brought to his room because he was like hidden. He couldn't even go down to the gym in the hotel he was staying at because they didn't want people to know he was there. Which is another, they got to be careful when they go to Saudi Arabia because your surprises, they're not as surprising. You know, like you'll get rumors nowadays. Obviously, like they could say like, oh, he could be there or he should be there, but they never really leaked that Royce Keys was there. So they did that pretty good as far as sneaking him in.
Talking about the people that could go next, honestly, I could see Miz possibly leaving at some point.
There was a bit of a tease
Maybe
last year like
Chad.
that. He changed all of his socials, and he had the only thing he had on there was like his golf and something else, and he was doing his American Gladiator hosting. And people really thought that Miz was probably leaving because he deleted all of his WWE stuff off Instagram, like it was, or his Twitter. It was all just like all of his old posts were gone. I was like, is the Miz actually leaving? Like, but now the Sheamus is gone. Anybody, I wouldn't be surprised if Rey Mysterio decided, hey, you know, even he's in AAA now with Undertaker, so he's probably safe. Guys like Undertaker and Ray, they're safe because they'll have jobs for life there. But I think Ray, just because AAA, and it's probably part of the deal when they bought AAA, it's like, you can never fire Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio was like, thanks, guys. I guess I'll be your GM, but still wrestle at fucking, 52 years old and be a maniac. Yeah. No. And but the thing is, I'm fine with the Miz leaving. It'd be awkward because he's only just like these other guys, Sheamus and Randy, and guys that have just only been in WWE. If the Miz were to leave, it wouldn't really change. I mean, even with Sheamus leaving, it's not going to change the structure of the show. You've got so many people coming in. You've got so many people at the top. Instead of having those people at the top get to the point where they're retiring or, you know, hey, you know, we're not going to fight for the title anymore, like Cody and Roman, like I keep saying, you know, these guys don't need to be fighting for the title. Drew McIntyre doesn't need a title, and he's younger than them, and he's like, he could just show up and fight anybody. No title needed. But the fact that they have all these people in certain positions and they're bringing up all this talent, it's like, well, you got to cut the middle guys. So guys like Sheamus and R-Truth and Miz and Otis and Tozawa and these guys that are just Shinsuke, these guys are just there. And if they're not being used, well, you can call up these NXT guys that are younger, hungrier, and can do more. But then in saying that, goes into the next thing I was going to talk about, fatal influence. You call up this trio of women. They show up so strong. They attack Charlotte, Alexa, Rhea. That's a huge statement. And you put them over. And you have that. But then literally over a couple weeks, and I think it might have been because Rhea got hurt, which I don't know what the last I heard, SummerSlam has changed because of it. They haven't talked about stripping the titles. They haven't talked about nothing, but so things have changed. But still, it's like they show up in such a big hoopla of fatal influence. And then, and I think what Simon Miller was talking about, how it's very backwards how they're doing it. They had JC lose to Paige, and then they had Laney just pin Brie Bella, a Hall of Famer, pinned by a 3-year wrestler. Great for her. But I never see it as a decent match. Although I did make fun of, we were watching it, and I said those announcers are really trying to put her over. Like, oh, that right hand, and oh, the knee, and oh my goodness. And it's like, I mean, it didn't look that good, but I mean, Laney Reed's young and Brie Bella's old. So I mean, you could play it up there. These ladies that have come back from, like, you know, however many 10 years ago and stuff that are wrestling now. It's like maybe they can't hang with the young ones anymore. But yeah, fatal influence coming up and taking those spots of, like, you know, like where, you know, Bianca's going to be out, but then you got Jade and Meechin and B-Fab. So then fatal influence kind of fell into the back, and then now Jade and her buddies are fighting against Charlotte and Alexa and Tiffany because Rhea's not there. Originally it was Rhea with them, and it's just all mixed up in there. But it's interesting though. But I feel bad that fatal influence has been relegated to the women's tag titles, who are held by not a real tag team because Nikki Bella was injured. And what's the plan there? Are they going to take the titles off them at Saturday's main event? Put them right on Fatal Influence? I mean, that's kind of like what they did with Trick. Trick came up, did a couple good matches, U.S. champ. It's like, bam. But the women's tag titles don't have the same kind of status as like a singles title. But the one thing they've never done since they said they were going to do it was when they merged the NXT women's tag titles and the WWE women's tag titles. Not once. I think maybe once. They got defended on NXT. Supposed to be defended on all 3 brands. But now, if you do that, Fatal Influence gets called up, wins the tag titles, and now they're going to defend it on NXT, where there's no tag teams left, and you're breaking up Lyra and Bayley, like Soul and Zarya had but they never got a chance because they had to break them up instead. It's just, we're losing tag teams. And even with the men's tag, there's some, maybe that's what we'll talk about next week, or maybe we'll go in a little deeper later, but the tag team divisions have all fallen. And we thought Vince McMahon hated tag teams. Triple H seems to hate tag teams just as much, if not more. But he loves triple threat matches. He loves fatal 4-way matches. So we're kind of stuck with that. Joe Hendry was missing from TV. And I think I actually was mentioning that Joe Hendry was missing from TV. And he appeared and helped the Street Profits win the tag team titles. And then he's sitting there singing a song. And Logan Paul with his broken arm comes out, and the it's like, and Austin Theory. Oh no, yeah. Joe Hendry had that singles match with Austin Theory, the impromptu match. Thanks, Michael Cole. So Joe Hendry was missing. Blake Monroe was taking as long as Veer to come, but then she shows up, and it's like we were waiting for Julia to be a face because who else is Blake Monroe going to attack? There's not a lot of options, even though you just called up Fatal Influence. Well, they're bad guys. You call up 4 heel women. And that's after turning Julia face. So it would have been 4-12. And, 4 calls. So it was 4-8. I don't know. Me and numbers. I love my numbers.
That's
most of that
math.
Huh?
I said that's bad math.
No, I'm good at math. My math is very good.
No.
How dare you?
No,
how dare you attack my math?
No, I'm saying WWE's math is...
Oh, their math doesn't math, because I'm looking down here on the ladies. Kendall Gray. Well, unless you call up Lola Vice, but I think she would go to AAA with Damien Priest, which I was going to mention as well. That's actually good. Look at me segueing into segments. Not even segments, but just ideas, right? We have bullet points that we like to cover, and it's like, hey, this was interesting, that was interesting. We have something to say about this, we have something to say about that. So, Damien Priest. Huh? Were you Joker? Go ahead, Joker.
Well, I was going to ask you, what math is worse, WWE math or Steiner math?
So anyway, Damien Priest went to AAA, and I can see Lola Vice joining him there, because that's a great mixed tag team champion. And he said, all the champions look out because he's there now. It's like, okay, well, where's your SmackDown tag title? Where's your SmackDown tag partner? Little awkward because they were eating hot dogs, and oh my god, when I think it was Ivar. Yeah, it was Ivar.
Yeah, Ivar.
He ate the hot dog, and R-Truth said, "He just bit your wiener. You're supposed to swallow." It's like, Jesus Christ, R-Truth. That's not even PG. So, yeah. So the fact that they're doing this weird tag stuff, and Damien Priest shows up looking as much as like the biker Undertaker as possible, and I mean, who wouldn't, as Damien Priest, loving the Undertaker? It's like, oh my god, I get to go work in AAA. Is booked by the Undertaker? Like, fuck, he's gonna book me like a beast. But what's he gonna do? Beat Dominic Mysterio for the AAA title? It seems weird because Dominic's held that title for so long, and Damien and Dominic should be their history should all be behind them. So bringing these WWE guys down there into AAA, it's a little weird because it kind of showcases AAA, but it also showcases guys that don't. Like, it's like a fourth brand. It's like, you're too big for NXT. You're not good enough for Raw and SmackDown, so go wrestle in AAA.
Well, my thought on it is,
yeah,
it does get more eyes on AAA. But like my first reaction when you were talking, because they set up the title for title match and Damien Priest going to AAA, when him and Truth do win the titles, that means
they're going
Truth
to?
Also, it kind of seems like when R-Truth and Damien Priest it kind of seems like that's what they're setting up. That means R-Truth would also go down to AAA, and my first reaction to that was no, but I'm also like,
Well, he
yay,
can be
but
on both
no,
shows.
but
He can be
yay.
on both shows.
Well, true. Well, same with Priest. It's just with Lola
Well,
Vice.
they announced it
I
differently.
think
They
she
made a big deal about
true.
Priest going down there, and then he showed up like, "Hey, I'm a former WWE champion, and I'm here to kick names and take ass, and I'm all out of chewing gum." You know, whatever he said. And
Right.
so it's like he's there, like, hey, but not, but you know, he'll show up on SmackDown because he's still a tag champ. So it's a little confusing, and it does get eyes on AAA. But I mean, at the same time, I can watch that on YouTube, and they're doing the Triple Mania 2 nights, one in Vegas and one in Mexico. It's so messed up. Like one day, all of WWE will take place in LA or in Las Vegas, and you'll have to all travel to there. It'll be like a residency, like a fucking Elton John or Britney Spears. It's like, hey, you want to come see WWE every Monday and Friday night from Las Vegas at the GM, Grand or whatever the shit fucking called there. It's
Right.
gonna become the hub. There was rumors a while ago talking about moving the PC to Vegas, but I think so many wrestlers live in Florida. If you're gonna
Yes.
move 60 to 100 people, as well as and you're all gonna live in no, I think Florida's
No.
fine. And it's funny because when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I always said, well, because I traveled a few places, right? I've been to Japan, I've been to Holland and England, and in the States a couple times, but I haven't left the country in like 30 years. But the fact that when I was younger, I was like, where would I go next? And this is way before any PC, anything, any OVW stuff. This is like, I'm talking like 98, 99. And I said, you know what? I think I'd like to go visit Florida. And now I really would like to go visit Florida because I could go to the PC, see NXT live. There's a lot of wrestlers living there. To just accidentally bump into Shawn Michaels at the Performance Center, like it's Shawn Michaels. I don't care what you think about him or who's well, not you specifically, but I mean about what other people think about him because he is shaping the youth. And now that they're doing it in a way better way, not that Triple H wasn't, but Triple H had his way of doing it. Then Vince McMahon came and shit all over it. And now it's a good blend, not a blend of what Vince was doing, but it's like a more modern version of what Triple H was doing, where instead of Triple H was making wrestlers, Triple H was making great TV. He was using those guys to push forward a brand. And now Shawn Michaels is actually shaping the future of wrestling. Not alone, of course. There's many coaches there, which is so weird to hear sometimes when I hear some of the people there. It's like, really? Ernest the Cat Miller? Like, Matt Bloom? Like, Terry Taylor? These are the guys that are helping shape, whereas like AEW has Jerry Lynn and Dean Malenko, and they didn't want Bret Hart. I talked about that, I think, before last week, something like that.
Yes.
I'm a little butthurt by that because I might have tuned into AEW if I knew Bret Hart was behind the curtain, helping out. Like I think he was there to debut the title, and then it was like, wow, that's all you wanted me to do was come out with this ugly belt. Yeah, that's right. AEW belt is ugly. So, actually, that's a good point because someone did vote. We had a poll last week, or just before last week, about what we should talk about. And we talked about Resident Evil, and we went into a deep dive. Well, I went into a deep dive of my 30 years, and Joker mentioned how he hasn't played too many of them except for, 7, 8, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But other than that, he hasn't played many Resident Evil games. And so in that poll, one of the options was my view or talking about AEW. And someone voted for it after the podcast, which I thought was great because that's good because other topics on there we can bring up sometime. And so I'm going to take the opportunity now and just put WWE on a little bit of a hold for a second. And I'm going to talk about AEW and how the belt is ugly. Bret Hart was not used correctly, just like Eric Bischoff didn't use Bret Hart correctly. They are WCW in so many ways because they don't know how to use Bret Hart, and I don't know.
It's mostly ex-WWE guys too.
But how can you not be an ex-WWE guy in 2026? There was 20 years with nothing. After WCW was bought in 2001, there was nothing until AEW came out 6-7 years ago. So
there was TNA and there were
regardless
other
TNA was all ex-WWE guys too. TNA was WCW 2.0, AEW is WCW 3.0. And you can only say that because if you're not WWE, you're the next WCW. And it sucks when they talk about how, like, whoa, Dynamite's been on longer than Nitro, and oh, the NWO, the Bloodline storyline's been going on longer than the NWO, and it's like, okay, that's not a good thing. But anyway, AEW does have good, but they have an owner who is not, it's not publicly traded. So he owns other things, the dads own things, they can pay people what they want. They're not overpaying, hopefully, not too much. But guys like MJF, if the fact that they was talking about the bidding war of 2024 never happened, injuries, him and Adam Cole, all that stuff kind of got wrecked. There was some good stuff there. There's decent storyline stuff there, but only for so many. Like Tony Storm, MJF, I am interested in those things. Mina Shirakawa, what's her name? My brother's gonna kill me if I don't name Megan Bain. Big fan. My brother is anyway. I don't mind her as well, but I love Mina Shirakawa. But her, and also Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm are a great tag team. So,
oh yeah, I love Tony Storm.
Yeah,
Tony
so I mean, you have a couple things that are good, and then you bring in freaking Sasha Monet, and she wins all these belts and then loses them all. It's like, okay, you have a story where she comes in and wins every title and then loses every title, and they talk about how great she is, and it's like, you know what, fine. Her and Bayley had a good match. Her and Bianca had a good match. That doesn't mean that she's that good. Like, AEW, I don't know what the hell they're doing with her, but it's not enough for me to tune in. I did tune in a little bit a while ago, or like a couple of years ago, and it was like, MJF Adam Cole stuff was interesting. I liked what they were doing there. Kind of making MJF a good guy. The MJF stuff with CM Punk was great. But CM Punk left. I mean, without AEW, it's funny. Here's the revolving door, right? Cody Rhodes leaves WWE. He creates AEW. AEW gets CM Punk to come out of retirement. Cody Rhodes leaves AEW, goes back to WWE. CM Punk falls out with AEW, and because now he's back in wrestling, he debuts with WWE. So it's almost kind of like that, well, not revolving door thing, but it's kind of like what I said, like, we've talked about it before, maybe not on the podcast, but we've talked about it a lot. If Razor Ramon never left WWE and didn't go and had to use someone else for NWO, or they didn't use Hogan, or if there was no curtain call and Austin didn't win King of the Ring, it was Triple H that year. If these things didn't happen, these things wouldn't happen. Well, this is now part of that. If Cody never left WWE, CM Punk would never have returned, and Cody and CM Punk would not be in the position they are in now, because Cody would have just stayed and fallen into the back, and CM Punk would never have come back to wrestling. But look what we have now. So I don't want to thank AEW. I'm going to thank Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Raheem himself.
It all comes back to Cody.
It really does. And that's why I think he's not in the position, like he's wrestling wise and everything. He is in the position he's in because he deserves it. He's earned, like he works his ass off. Like I watched his podcast with Fallon Henley, and he looks so tired. And he's tired because not that he wants to be tired, but he was an advocate for these house shows that are coming back, and we're going to have a house show here in the end of August. He loves wrestling. And he's almost like he's that bridge that we're going to lose. Not lose, but like he's kind of the last, not the last, but him and Punk and those guys from that kind of time, they're the last of those guys. Like even Roman and Seth are past that. They're the first of the next generation of, they don't have that exact bridge to the past. You know what I mean? Because they were like, well, I don't know if Roman on the Independents at all.
Punk? No, like Punk and Cody right now are the modern day Bret Hart, and Roman is the modern day Shawn Michaels, because these are the older generations for these newer generations to come in.
What?
I'm just trying. I'm
Bret and Shawn are from the same generation.
Okay, then
hold on. I think this is what you're trying to mean.
Yes.
Cody and Punk are kind of like Shawn and Bret. And then you got Roman and Seth, who are kind of like Rock Austin, the next guy's coming up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the point I'm trying to say is they don't have that exact link to what Cody and Punk have the link to. Even not even Punk as much, because not that I know, but like Cody has that link to what wrestling was like. Like when I hear Kevin Nash talk about On the Road, and even Cody talk about On the Road, he was Cena's driver. learning, talking about wrestling, like they just wanted to talk wrestling, and they wanted to just riding from town to town, and like these were things where you would pick up things and house shows you could try things. It's like they don't have that. They haven't had that for so long. It's like that's so lost. And once Cody and Punk and those guys are truly done, it'll be gone, and it'll all be cookie cutter, cut out from college, NIL, put into NXT, thrown through the system, grind it up, see what comes out the other side. If it works, it's good. It goes up. If it doesn't work, it gets out. And it's so manufactured now. And I've talked about it, and this was going to be an unhinged moment at some point. And maybe it'll be an unhinged here now. Maybe I'll include it at some point. But almost every woman in NXT wears the exact same gear. They're all just the same exact kind of style, and that's great. But you're kind of all looking the same. Kendall Gray has a little bit different. I'm not a big fan of the straps. Like she kind of got the Maxine Dupree with the singlet with the thing. But Kendall Gray is a whole different. She is 100%. And people have been saying it since she won the Evolve title. It's like this lady's ready for the main roster. So I'm really happy they chose to put the title on her, because even though Lola Vice didn't have a long title reign, Kendall Gray is 100% ready for that position. In ring, on mic, everything. So I hope they don't hotshot it too much. But although we need faces on SmackDown, but they don't have enough proper structure to put someone in that position to bring her up and put her there, because it'll fail unless you bring her up at she's gonna fight Blake Monroe. It's like, well, now you've got all the NXT people just on SmackDown. So for people that watch NXT, it's just like, okay, well, now I see the same people that were fighting on Tuesday. Now, like, that's why they're doing the Mello and Trick thing a little bit after. They didn't want to dive right into it, because people that watch NXT, the diehard fans that watch every single show, we watched Mello Trick fight for a year after they were friends forever. Like, we don't want to see that so soon. That's why this Roman and Seth match, at least, like I think it was Seth said, this is their third singles match on a PLE. So they've not had a lot of singles matches in their years since the Shield broke up. So and I think that's what I've kind of compared all the time. Not all the time, but I've compared Roman Reigns to Hulk Hogan, and Seth Rollins is the Macho Man. Not as far as anything else, like we were saying about the bridge, the past, and stuff like that, but as far as positioning, you need a guy who's like, this is the guy, he's the champion, carrying the company. That was Roman Reigns, just like Hulk Hogan was in the 80s. But you've got to have someone who's going to be that workhorse. What Macho Man had was the Intercontinental title. Well, Seth did it with the World Heavyweight title when they brought it back. And now we've got to the point where we're getting them fight. This is Mega Powers Explode, except it's, obviously not exploding because they've exploded a while ago. But it's a WrestleMania 5 kind of main event on a SummerSlam. SummerSlam's actually looking pretty big and pretty decent. Wow, these segues are working really good. Look at that. I just went right into the next thing. Didn't really talk about Blake Monroe failing as much on the main roster. But, yeah. Before I do go to the SummerSlam lineup, Joe Hendry and Blake Monroe really, since they were called up, didn't have anything to do. It's almost like they got called up too soon, because like Ricky Saints had something to do. Javon, Trick, Ethan Page, all these guys had a place, and everyone kind of had a plan. I think it's because Joe Hendry was going to feud with Logan Paul, and so when Logan got injured. But if that happens, and your plan is to showcase Joe Hendry against something, give him something to do. There's enough, like they did last week, Austin Theory. There's enough guys back there that Joe Hendry could beat, and it'd be fine. Have him beat up JD. Have him fight the Judgment Day instead. Okay, Austin Theory, Braun, all these guys are injured, or Logan Paul's injured. Division's falling apart. Guess what? Joe Hendry needs a different feud him with the Judgment Day. And that would have worked. Kind of like I said with Liv Morgan having no challengers. She could have fought Bayley, Lyra, anybody. She hasn't defended the title once. Her first defense is going to be SummerSlam. And I sure hope Io wins. So, but yeah, Roman and Seth, Io and Liv. I'm excited for those matches. I know you're not as excited for Io Liv, Joker. Like you said, we just saw that match. But WWE does rematches all the time. But the one thing that we're excited for, and I'll let you start this off, Joker, because I've really been talking a lot and nonstop. The possibility of Gunther and Nick Aldis. I'll let you pick. I'll let you start that one off.
For those people that have not seen Nick Aldis or heard of him, it's going to be great to showcase what he can do, but it also gives Gunther someone to possibly retire. And, like, at the end of the day, like, with how Nick Aldis is, I can kind of compare him to, in a lot of ways, a mixture of Rick Rude and Ric Flair because he's very technical, very good in the ring, and honestly, if this match does happen at SummerSlam, it's going to be one of the better matches at SummerSlam. Or if it happens at, Saturday night's main event that's coming up very shortly. But, like, with a retirement match, you would definitely have to save it for SummerSlam, right? You wouldn't do it on a Saturday night's main event. But, like, would this add more credit to Gunther? Hell yeah. It would 100% add more credit to Gunther. But then, what do they do with Nick Aldis after this? Does he just remain, the SmackDown general manager after this and can't get physical with any superstar, even if they're getting physical with him first? It gives a lot of questions, but eventually, maybe they will give us the answers that we want. It just really comes down to what's the bigger plan here and where can this go? Because they have a fantastic, you know, blueprint of what they can do and what they shouldn't do. And right now, the pieces are falling into place for WWE really well. It's just WWE has a habit, because you can agree with me on this one, Dale, of kind of shooting themselves in the foot when they have something good and making it something not so good.
Oh, they do it all the time. That's their favorite thing to do is shoot themselves in the foot.
But that's the thing. This is something you can't really shoot yourself in the foot with because you have a guy that started out in TNA, then became the
Did
face
he
of
start
the
in TNA?
NWA brand. Yes, he started in TNA as Magnus, and then he went to NWA and was the face of that company for years and a multiple time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So if they screw this up in any way, a lot of people that are fans of wrestling or like fans of like Nick Aldis in general, they're gonna be kind of pissed because this is something you can't really fuck up. But I I have faith in WWE some. Like I'm not gonna say I have like my full faith. I'm gonna put my whole foot right in and say like they can't mess it up. It's gonna be fine because they've done it in the past. So like that's why I can't really say that this is a home run. Like just put them in the ring, let them wrestle, and it's you can hit it right out of the park. I can't really say that anymore for WWE because they've had so many great matches. Sometimes they end the way they should. Other times they go up out of left field.
I would love Gunther Nick Aldis because I haven't seen Nick Aldis wrestle in WWE. Nobody has. And what was the first? Speaking of AEW, we talked earlier. What was the first event AEW had, or before it was
All
AEW
in.
All In? What was the main
Yep.
event of that match or that card?
Nick Aldis versus Cody Rhodes for the NWA Championship.
Exactly. And so I want to see Nick Aldis, even if it's against Gunther and Gunther wins and retires him and he goes back to being SmackDown general manager, whatever it is. If Nick Aldis gets a big match on a thing like that, I mean, I'd rather see that than Gunther and Pat McAfee, and we had to fucking watch that match. So, yeah, hook it to my
I
veins.
mean, that is fair. I agree.
Give me Gunther and Aldis. There's too much leaning into it that if that's not the plan, and that's I was thinking about that yesterday. Maybe that's what we talked about yesterday, where we are kind of preparing some of this. Um, it's nice when it's predictable because I like to be able to like watch the story and be like, hey, like I think this is where they're going. Oh, and this is where they're going, but it's interesting how they're getting there, you know? Kind of like they could have done, speaking of shooting themselves in the foot, with LA Knight and King of the Ring. They could have. They had the opportunity right there. But they decided, fuck it, let's have him lose in the first round to Jey Uso, who loses to Oba anyway, but then Jey fights Cody for a number one contender match after Sami beats Cody. It's just all over. And then LA's fighting Jimmy twice. And now he's going to hang out with maybe Solo because Solo's a good guy now. It's just, they really screwed up LA Knight. But it's not all lost. It's not all lost. We're not going to go into it here, but we still have Money in the Bank. And I said this at the beginning when we started this podcast. I really don't want to get to the point where I'm talking about LA Knight going after the Money in the Bank because I needed him to be king. I wanted him to be king. But at the same time, who comes out of SummerSlam as champion? Roman or Seth, right? If Seth wins, right, that'd be amazing. But does that make Roman go full heel? Him and the Usos finally decide they're the bad guys, and then Jacob maybe breaks off. Jacob, Royce, and Solo I can see being 3 against Usos and Roman. So now if Seth gets the title back, do you want whoever wins Money in the Bank? I mean, and I don't want LA Knight carrying it around for fucking a year, because now Money in the Bank, we were trying to talk about how Money in the Bank being later in the year was good. But I don't think so now if it were that situation. Anybody else, I don't care. But if LA Knight wins that briefcase, why would he wait? Why would LA Knight wait? He would literally come out, like if there was a big match at Survivor, if they have War Games, right? After the match, Seth or Roman, whoever the champion is at the time, or whoever the WWE champion is at the time, is in that match, and they're all bloodied and beaten. You come out and you steal the title like Edge or whoever, you know, anytime Seth Rollins, the heist of the century. You take advantage. You want to get that title? Take it. And that's what LA Knight should. I mean, they'll never do the right thing with LA Knight. One day, I'm going to predict something for LA Knight, and they're going to do it, and it's going to knock me out of my chair, because they've had so many opportunities and not done it. So if there's like things that I can see or we can see that's like, oh, this would be good or that would be good, but they've never capitalized. So I could say, hey, LA Knight wins the Money in the Bank, and bam, cashes in that night and wins the title. But then at the same time, so if you're changing the championship at SummerSlam at the beginning of August, 2 months later, you're cashing in, you know, or a month after that, after he wins the briefcase, you're cashing in. Otherwise, he's holding on the title, holding on to the belt, he's holding on to the briefcase until after WrestleMania, or he wins it at the Royal Rumble. So the Rumble winner now is like, oh, I'm fighting you, because obviously the winner of the Rumble challenges someone, and there's 0 title defenses between them and WrestleMania. I'll never get over that. Bayley, Io Sky. Bayley's like, I choose you. It's like, okay, well, Io never defended the title. Whereas Bianca won Elimination Chamber, which is even closer to WrestleMania, and then Rhea lost to Io on Raw, and then Rhea ended up in the match anyway for a 3-way. So it's like, why win Elimination Chamber if you're in a 3-way? Not complaining. One of the greatest 3-ways of all time. Mostly probably the best. Rhea and Io had some great matches in, was that 2025 last year? That Evolution.
2025.
I could talk about it all the time. That WrestleMania match. You know what we should do one of these days? Maybe not on the podcast, but maybe we could do it on like a random thing. Maybe watch a match or two and talk about, you know, what we like or think, or some of our favorite matches, especially the recent ones, like things like that, the triple threat at WrestleMania, or the Evolution match with Rhea. Like, I mean, I'm wearing a Rhea shirt right now. I could go over all my favorite Rhea matches, and I never did. You know, we give Drew McIntyre a lot of love on this podcast. Are we a show? We're whatever we are. But I haven't really dove into the love I have for Rhea Bloody Ripley. And it's probably best I don't, because it goes so deep that, what has it been? 5, 6 years? Charlotte and Rhea, was that was that during the pandemic, or was that in 2021? Was that the year after?
I think it was 2021.
So she would have been called up to the main roster 2020. So yeah, because Rhea was on the main roster for about 5 years now. So I started watching right before Rhea went to the main roster. So I saw none of her NXT stuff. I only saw her on the main roster. And she had the tag team with Liv, and then she broke up, or I guess before that, she had the tag team with Nikki ASH. And then she had the tag team with Liv, broke up with her, joined the Judgment Day, and then all the growth there and all her change, and then broke out of the Judgment Day and everything she did. Like, it's watching everything she's done since, and just since the day I saw her, I was smitten, one might say. So, yes, she is the female Drew McIntyre. I can't say that. I love Rhea more. Drew McIntyre is the male Rhea Ripley. So, and it's fun because they had their interaction at War Games a couple years ago where Rhea picked him to join Judgment Day and doing her little wave, and then Drew did his little wave, and I'm going to put that little gif in here because I love that when they both do their little waves. And so, no, a lot of love for Rhea Ripley. And it's so bad that an injury again going to keep her out of something, but I think the biggest thing is there's people like that the machine will always be behind. It doesn't matter. It's like they like, even with Liv now, Liv's kind of getting to that position where she had that injury and they were like, you know what, you're in that top position now. And it's so cool to think that when I started watching again back in 2020, 2021, that Liv and Rhea were just a shitty tag team thrown together, and Rhea did not want to be. I mean, you could tell like the tag team thing wasn't working, and it was like, ugh. And I think it was when I was rewatching something a few months ago. 1 month they were a tag team, and then they broke up. But then look at the story they've built with Liv and Rhea since, and look at the story there is now. And now Rhea and Liv are champions on opposite brands, and then you had Sami and Roman champions on opposite brands, and they were fighting for the title at Elimination Chamber 3 years ago, like the Bloodline stuff. So there is long-term storytelling at work. There are some things in play. Io and Rhea. Rhea's never beat her. The stuff in NXT, the stuff they've been doing since, the tag team and the tag team championships. Like, there are a lot of characters that someone knows what they're doing back there. But there's other people that they're like, oh, what do we do this week with this person? Oh, I don't know, roll up. Like, so tired of fucking roll ups. But you know what? Sami won the title with a roll up, so can you really knock it?
WWE has seemingly failed to really know what they're doing with the championships. And I can even kind of say that about NXT because the NXT championships aren't really being defended that often either.
Really? You watch NXT enough that you notice this?
I watch it with you every week. So
I don't.
yes, I have.
Hold on. Did we watch NXT last week?
No, we didn't.
Did we watch it the week before?
No, but we normally
Who
do.
is the NXT champion?
Tony D'Angelo.
Who is the NXT North American champion? No Googling.
I kind of forget.
Miles Bourne.
I was going to say, Miles, the deaf guy.
Wow. The deaf guy. Stephanie Vicare's boyfriend.
Yes, Miles Bourne. The NXT Tag Team Champions. But not going to mention the Vanity. I have to mention the Vanity Project. But yeah, beforehand.
Hold on. Who's the NXT Women's North American champion?
That would be Sol Ruka.
Would it be? Because Sol Ruka's the Intercontinental Champion, Joker.
What? No, wait. Not Zarya. God damn. I said the wrong name. I always think about Sol and Zarya together.
So, since we watch NXT every week so religiously, I'm really glad you're up to speed on who the champions are.
I know who the...
Who's the women's speed champion? Don't tell me because you don't care about the belt. We watch this weekly together, apparently, so you tell me.
We normally do, and I don't know who the women's speed
Ren
champion
Sinclair. Because at Great American Bash, Ren Sinclair defended, and Kendall Gray won, so they both have titles, and they're just a twosome friends, and so, yeah. Don't come at me with NXT if you don't know your NXT. Getting to the main sort of topic. Well, it's been bugging me for a few weeks, or a few months, really, since WrestleMania. We haven't seen Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and Ilya Dragunov showed up for a little bit around before after his injury and came back and disappeared again. Like, oh, Carmelo, I can't fight you, and my mom, and blah, 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 blah. Maybe he's got something personal going on and I shouldn't make fun. Not that I think anything's happening, it's just I don't know. So, but I can make fun because I don't know. Not that I'm ignorant, I just, it's my job to not know. I only know what I know, so don't judge. Anyway, Drew McIntyre went to film his movie with Superman, and Randy Orton might be hurt after WrestleMania. So those were two big names that were going into, and I think I talked about this the other day, was, well, off, just, among our friends and stuff. Drew McIntyre puts Jacob Fatu over at WrestleMania. Jacob Fatu is a beast, and he wants to fight Roman and Backlash. Oh my God, he's using the tongue and death grip, and then, oh, we're gonna fight again at Clash of Italy, and oh, I'm Jacob Fatu, and oh, I lost. Okay, I'll just say, oh, I hate you, Jimmy and Jay, but I'll listen to Roman because I'm a little bitch. So Drew worked his ass off to put over a guy who's a beast who is now on a leash and neutered. Jacob Fatu was supposed to be the next big thing. Because, there's always a next big thing. Just ask Cody Raheem Rhodes. They don't call him Raheem for nothing. Anyway, so I need Drew McIntyre. I need Drew McIntyre back on my TV. I need Kevin Owens back on my TV when he can. I need Randy Orton back when he can. But at the same time, they've ruined that story with Pat McAfee. So what do you do with Randy when he comes back? It's like, oh, so, hey, Cody, can we be friends again? Or, hey, Cody, I still hate you. Or, what? Like, I don't know. But Ilya Dragunov is the one that really confuses, because if you want to take him out of the U.S. title scene and you want to leave it open for Trick and Carmelo and you don't want Ilya to interrupt, maybe Ilya shows up and we get a three-way. We still have the hope. But I think people want to see, especially SummerSlam, because they're trying to make SummerSlam more of a two-night WrestleMania kind of feel. So these matches are going to be just as big. And it's kind of a 6-month window, right? Because it's like, April and then August, so ish, So if you have a big WrestleMania, a big SummerSlam, you can really make them both feel. And because, like, people's attention spans nowadays, where back in the day, it was like, you could build till WrestleMania. And, oh my God, you have all year. But now it's like, well, we build till SummerSlam, then SummerSlam to WrestleMania. And so if you break the year in half, it's kind of better that way with the way people are now and the way that people intake entertainment and information. So it works. And if they're selling tickets and they can make SummerSlam big enough and they don't fuck up with a WrestlePalooza a month after that just sucks balls and nobody likes, then, SummerSlam's a win. But there's that lull, like we talked about. There's that lull after SummerSlam between Royal Rumble or before Royal Rumble. And so you need a title shot opportunity in between each. So you have the Rumble and Elimination Chamber. Well, those guys fight the champion at WrestleMania. Then you have King and Queen of the Ring. Well, one of them fights at SummerSlam. The other one you can kind of build a story for. And then Money to Make is after SummerSlam. So then you have something to do between SummerSlam and the Rumble, because there's no real other built-in title shots. And WWE relies on the built-in title shot way too much. It's like, hey, I won the Rumble, I challenge you. It's like, well, it's a good thing he won the Rumble because he's the guy who wanted to fight the guy that has the title. Like, depending who holds the title, you could really call who's going to win the Rumble. I think this year was a little different. Like, Punk was the champion. It's like, well, people were like, probably Roman. It's like when Jay won, it was a surprise at least, because it's like, well, you think they'd have Cena win, but yeah. It's hard to surprise people nowadays. Your next big star is going to win the Rumble, and they're either winning the title or not. Or like when Bayley won the Rumble, it's someone who hasn't and needs that Rumble win. And they did that, and then just haven't done anything with Bayley since. Like, Bayley won, and then I can't even remember now, but I don't remember if she beat Io or not. I just remember Nia Jax won Queen of the Ring and then won the title at SummerSlam. And it was just like, okay. And Gunther won King of the Ring, and then he beat, Damien Priest with help from Finn Balor at SummerSlam. So it's like, you can use these title matches or these built-in title shots to change the title or not change the title, depending on what the position you're in. And it's fine either way. It's just, give LA Knight a goddamn title. Okay. But, Ilya Dragunov, there's no reason why he's not on TV as far as I know. But you can really tell that they need people on SmackDown. They need people so much that Nick Aldis might get in the ring. That's how badly SmackDown needs people. Nick Aldis might come out of not even retirement, but he's been there for a couple of years now as GM with zero wrestling in WWE. It's like he's gonna have his first match because they don't have enough fucking people on SmackDown that can stand up to Gunther. Well, maybe he shouldn't have signed him. Maybe he shouldn't have signed Gunther and given him this stupid. And then, I'm sorry, but they're defending the SmackDown, the WWE Championship on Raw. Dumb decision. I get it, this and that. You gotta have the thing happening, and you know, Adam Pearce is the GM, so all the stuff they built that for, just not. I don't know. It's not for me, and I don't know who it is for. But I guess the main topic wasn't as main as I thought. There's not too many other names that are really missing. Grayson Waller, but nobody cares but me. Joker, do you care that Grayson Waller's not around? I mean, he's kind of in limbo because he was doing stuff with Kofi and Xavier. Xavier got injured, and then New Day got released, and now it's like, well, what do we do with Grayson Waller? Like, have him fight Austin Theory or have him join Austin Division? I don't know. Like, what do you do?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like Grayson Waller and kind of like Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, they can just be there, not on television to get paid, but like, at the end of the day, like, why are they missing from TV? Like,
Well, Shinsuke's been around long. He's been around long enough that he doesn't need to be on TV. But Grayson is an up and comer. He's an upstart, as they say.
Yeah, I would just say it can't just be because you ain't got plans for him. Like, if that was the case, then, well, no, I can't even really say that. Then no one would be on television, but then if you really look at it, a lot of people aren't on television.
Exactly. Like when I see main event and it's like, oh, there's, you know, Ivy Nile and Jordan Grace and Maxine Dupree and Natalia, the Creeds. It's like, these are people you don't see on TV, but it's like, okay, they're kind of, it's, I don't know. It's the problem that they've had for a while. I mean, I think, and I saw the problem when WWE bought WCW long ago. There's too many people. You split it into Raw and SmackDown, but then that's not even sacred. You have too many people in NXT that are ready to call up, and it's like, well, you don't want to wait too long, because then they'll be ready. They'll be ready, but then it'll be past. You know, you don't want to lose the momentum and not call them up. You know, like you bring them up when it's right. But if you don't have a spot for them to bring them up, well, then you're bringing them up to do nothing with them, and they're kind of in that position now. Like I think we talked before, it's like, you know, until Roman and Cody and Punk and Randy and all these guys that are like right at the top, unless these guys move on to something else or stop wrestling or don't go after titles, like I say, there's nowhere for anyone to move up. Whereas they did it with Sami, it's like, okay, but Sami's not really moving up. He's just that he's kind of been not owed, but a little deserved because of, he did a lot of great work with the Bloodline. And like Cody said back then when they had Elimination Chamber in 3 years ago, what was it? Yeah, Cody won the Royal Rumble, and then he was going to challenge Roman at WrestleMania. And Sami's like, well, I'm fighting him at Elimination Chamber. You might fight me. And Cody's like, you know, you're right. You know, and I think it was an interview that Cody said, it's like the fact that the fans, they had multiple good guys at the top. And Cody's even said it recently, too. That's a good problem to have, is to have so much talent. It's a good problem, but it's still a problem. And the problem is there's not enough room. Even with the 3-hour show, SmackDown didn't know how to do it. They didn't know how to utilize everybody, you know. Like Kit Wilson kind of showed up here and there with The Miz, but now him and The Miz show up for 30 seconds and Danhausen is electrocuting them, possibly cloning them. You know, rumor has it that, first of all, before the rumor has it, I noticed on this past week on SmackDown when Matt Cardona turned on the thing and the machine went bzz, bzz, bzz. Kit Wilson said, awesome, like the way the Miz does, and the Miz was just shaking there. So it's like, are they transferring brains? So like Miz will come out like Kit and Kit will come out like Miz, and it'll be kind of funny that way. But I think with the, especially because someone said he alluded to, he knows someone in New York, and the rumor is possibly Big Cass and Enzo return. And I can see just by looking, I haven't seen them in what they've done. I've seen like maybe a video or two. Like I said, I wasn't watching at that time, but they could come back and be like clones of the Miz and Kit Wilson, because like Big Cass just looks like a bigger, like, you know, Frankenstein size version of Kit Wilson, and Enzo looks like the Miz when his hair was all crazy and stuff. He'd just be like, you know, a crazy guy, and so it's like you could have technically clone Kit and clone Miz as Enzo and Big Cass. So, but I mean that's the whole Danhausen thing too. They have Danhausen on the show enough, but as long as he's not electrocuting any new people like he's been doing every single week, it seemed. But now he's having a match against JD McDonough, which makes sense. He's feuding with the Judgment Day. Give him a match at Madison Square Garden. Like this guy, he's earning enough money with the merch for WWE that they should give him a goddamn match at Madison Square Garden. Plus, he's the king of Madison Square Garden because of the whole New York Knicks thing. Like it just all fell into place. They really got lucky. And I don't want to say lucky, but Danhausen was the right move at the right time for a lot of different reasons, and it worked out more than anyone could have planned, especially with all the NBA stuff and I cursed this, cursed that. It's like they were on a winning, like what else is the reason why they're on a winning streak? They have not won the championship in how long, and now they are. What's the one thing that was different this year? Danhausen uncursed them. So yeah, they're gonna run with it, and so I thought that was great. I thought it was great. What do you? I mean, I know you were advocating about Danhausen a few weeks ago, Joker, even though you compared him to Doink. But would you say, yeah? How about that? Let's throw that out there. You ever see Doink do anything like this? Do you see Doink help people win championships? Is Doink even know what basketball is?
Well, okay. At the end of the day, everything did fall into place like really well.
They got lucky.
And honestly,
if the New York Knicks just lost every game, they wouldn't have been able to play it off. But it gave them something to work with, and I think they got lucky with that.
Right. It's kind of like them trying to do an experiment to see how it works. Kind of like with, if you really think about the rock and wrestling thing that they wanted to try and do. If that had failed, what would happen?
Are you talking about the cartoon?
No, when Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T were around for their first WrestleMania.
Well, that was I mean, that was just to get eyes on wrestling.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, this is a great way for WWE to try and get views on themselves because you have this character.
Well, you can be anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
especially now that they're on ESPN and stuff. You get a lot of good cross promotion by cross promoting with other sports and real sports, as they say.
It's a calculated risk, but like I think what WWE has done for the most part sometimes have been calculated risks, and when they work, WWE benefits from it. And this is something that worked, and it came, into play so well that, now that a lot of people are going along with it, it just works. It's kind of like, if this hadn't worked, then yeah, people could have been like, yeah, WWE, yeah, just shove it, like, this was stupid, it was a good try, but at the end of the day, when they have something that works like this, like, I'm trying to think about the right words for it, too. If you have puzzle pieces and they fall right into position where they need to, why not capitalize? Like, that it just kind of fits hand in hand that, like, he's gonna be on Saturday night's main event. Like, it's just,
from MSG.
They want to use... Right, exactly. It's gonna be... They want to do more with Danhausen, but as you said, he can't do the same thing of shocking people over and over.
They've got to pay that off sooner than later. I'm glad it's going to be hopefully a Saturday night's main event and not wait till SummerSlam or something. Even though it's only been around since Elimination Chamber, it feels like these past few weeks of the electrocuting people, it's like, okay, like, what's it? The cloning machine, like, it's, even though it's 30 seconds a week, it's sometimes on both shows. So a minute, between both shows, like 30 seconds Monday, 30 seconds Saturday or Friday. It's just, come on now, give me something. Give me something there. Even if it's dumb.
I want to just see him more in the ring, I'll agree with you on that one. No more midgets. I just want more Danhausen in the ring. Like, different Danhausen segments with different people. It's just, I want just Danhausen in general. Just
Or Doinkhausen, as you might call him.
I just want something that's kind of stupid, but it's gonna make me laugh, kind of with how our truth is every week. Like, I want Danhausen to come on my TV screen, no matter Raw, SmackDown. Don't make him show up on NXT. He should only be exclusively to Raw and SmackDown.
What about AAA?
Honestly, I think he could work in AAA. I can't.
I mean, he just has to show up. Like, he doesn't have to be there weekly. Or
exactly.
Show up for one event and be like, oh my God, it's that guy. We see that guy on TV. Here's there in Mexico. That's a horrible Mexican thing.
But no, like, I agree. Like, he can go to...
Actually, Raw's going to be in Mexico in a couple of weeks or a month or two. So they will see him in Mexico live on Raw.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's on Raw and SmackDown feuding with... Well, I guess... I'm trying to think. Yeah, if he's fighting JD, so that's a Raw. And then he was cloning or fighting with Miz and Kit, and they're on SmackDown. So Danhausen is one of two free agents. Well, three, I guess. Brock Lesnar and Omos, who is so free agent that he shows up on AAA once or twice and never anywhere else. That's how free of an agent Omos is.
Sounds more like he's exclusively to AAA than the free agent.
Well, exactly, exclusively by yearly. But anyway, so
I don't want to rant about Sami.
You can rant about Sami on your own time. Finger your own pie for once. So anyway, that's enough for this week, I think. Next week we're going to try again to probably branch out to some other things, and we'll put some polls up as well. And we'll continue with this weird build to SummerSlam that we'll be revealing as the weeks go on, because that's the next big thing, and hopefully it's big enough that it matters, because otherwise it's kind of hard to talk about. I don't really want to have a weekly recap show of wrestling, because there's a billion of them, but we have our own interesting take, and so I think if we can find some other topics to cover as well, and relevant, irrelevant. Hell, I just talked about 30 years of Resident Evil last week, and it was fun to talk about. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, and that's what we're here for, just to find whatever you want, because we're not just a hat rack.